This is video number 1. This is finding if a graph, table, ordered pairs, or equations are a function or not a function. And this video is going to help you with questions number 1 and question number 7 on the review Google form. So this is video number 1. So let's take a look at a graph first. With a graph, what we look for and how we figure out if a graph is a function or not is we check using the vertical line test. And what a vertical line, remember vertical line is straight up and down. And if it is a function, so in this column over here, this whole table, these are functions, these are not functions. If the vertical line only hits the graph once, so right here, it only hits once, then that means it passes the vertical line test, meaning this is a function. So if you are tasked with telling if a graph is a function or not, you use the vertical line test. If it only hits once at any spot, it's a function. Now, if it does not pass the vertical line test, meaning the vertical line hits the graph more than once, so if we look at this vertical line, it hits once, twice, it is not a function. So if we do the vertical line test and it hits more than once, it is not a function. So when it asks if it's a function or not, we test it using the vertical line test. This is not linear versus nonlinear. We can have a linear graph that's a function and a nonlinear graph that's a function, but we are not looking for if it's linear or not. We're testing to see if it's a function. So if it only hits once, it's a function. If it hits more than once, it's not a function. Let's take a look at a table. In a table, we check our x values first. So we're going to check here first. And our x values here. Remember, our x is our input, meaning it's what we put into the function, and our output is what we get out. And it's not outpout, it's output. Sorry. So we check our x values first. If none are the same, it is a function. So if I look at here, -4, 0, 4, and 8, none of those are the same. That means that each input gives only one output. Therefore, it is a function. So if none of the x values are the same, they're all different, it's a function because each input gives one output. Now, if we check the x values first and we see the same x values, we circle them just like I did here. We circle -2 and -2. Now, we check our y values, which I did with the arrow. So this -2 gives a +4. This -2 gives a -4. If they are different, it is not a function, meaning if my x values that are the same, I don't care about these anymore, if they are the same and they give different y values, it is not a function because the input -2 gives 2 outputs, which is 4 and -4, which means it is not a function. Okay, so if we circle our x values and they're the same and they give different y values, it is not a function. Now, if this was -4, both of them give the same output, that would be a function, but in this case they are different, so it does not give a function. Now, let's take a look at ordered pairs. Now, ordered pairs are going to be the same as tables. We're going to look for our x values. If none of them are the same, it is a function. If we look at this, remember ordered pairs are x comma y. If our x values are all different, we have 5, 6, -8, 0, 7. They're all different. If none of them are the same, it is a function because each input only gives one output. Okay, our y values can be the same. Look at that, we got 2 y values that are the same. But it doesn't matter, we're just checking the x values first. And if none are the same, it doesn't matter what the y values are. Now, if we check our x values first and we have the same, we circle them. Just like in our tables, we circle the ones that are the same. And then we're going to check our y values. If they are different, we draw an arrow. -4 gives us 1. -4 gives us 4. If they are different, it is not a function because our input, -4, x, gives 2 outputs, 1 and negative 4. They're different, so it is not a function. Now, with our equations, the long way is to make a table of values, but here is the shortcut. And don't tell anybody I told you. If there is an exponent attached to the y, or y equals a square root, it is not a function. So this y has an exponent attached. It is not a function, because if we solve for y, we're going to get square root x plus 1, and the graph would actually look something like this, and that does not pass the vertical line test. Now, if there is no exponent attached to the y, it is a function. It doesn't matter if there's an exponent on the x or the number, as long as there's not an exponent on the y. Now, that is the short version. Don't tell anybody I told you. Rewind this video if you need help with questions 1 and 7, identifying functions.